Welcome everyone to tonight's meeting of East Grinstead Town Council Planning Meeting. I'd like to declare the meeting open. I'd like to welcome councillors and members of the public to an interesting meeting tonight. First item of business is public participation. I know several of you have made it known that you want to speak tonight. So we are going to start with 61 Crawley Down Road. So if you'd like to stand up, introduce yourself. And,
my name is Nick Dunn, and we have residents here from Chestnut Grange. Olivia Homes is going to put in 20 more buildings in the area in the main site, and access to that new part of the site passes a children's playground. And I think the two main things, Chair, that would like to be brought forward when considering the site is number one, the drainage, the strategic drainage, and also the strategic management of traffic, because obviously the site is getting bigger and there have been issues with traffic, and I know that there's been a concern over drainage. So if those two particular points can be registered for putting forward, we'd be grateful.
thank you very much.
In 2 minutes?
Perfect. You've got another minute left. You've got anything else you want to say?
Well, it's like a speed dating thing. That's enough. The main thing is to register that. There is another point which is not necessarily germane to this, and that is that there is an issue regarding street lighting which isn't available, and I would like to be probably talking to Rex about that at some point.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We're going to move on to those that would like to speak on, I think we'll do it in order of the agenda. So we will do Cedar Lodge next. Who would like to go first?
Hello, I'm Chris Payne. I'm a resident of Aldersview Drive, and there are several others here and a number who've objected online. My concern is that Cedar Lodge is a rural property at the end of a rural lane, and the current owner bought it as such. The proposal is to link it into a suburban development, Aldersview Drive. I feel this will destroy the character of the lane. I think it sets a dangerous precedent for other homeowners down there or other property owners, landowners down there to make similar applications. And it could completely destroy the lane. It will change the nature of Aldersview Drive, which currently is a residential cul-de-sac. It will become a through road. The owner has said that he will install a gate to prevent it becoming a rat run, but there is no guarantee that in the future that gate will always be maintained. So I feel it sets a dangerous precedent of joining the two roads together. Thank you.
Thank you. So,
well, I'll try and avoid repeating anything that Chris has covered. But, my name is Terry Pinnell, and I've been at Aldersview Drive for about 30 years. She can't be with us tonight, but my wife and I are just two of the, I think, quite a lot of people in Aldersview Drive who are objecting very strongly to this application. When we bought this house some 30 years ago, its status as a cul-de-sac was really quite a major consideration for us, and naturally we wanted to be kept that way. It seems to us that there's a risk, a serious risk, that that won't happen. I would respectfully ask the council this question: why? Should someone living in one road be allowed to literally bulldoze their way through to another road, merely really to get the added convenience, in effect, of two addresses instead of just one? I think it, as Chris has said, not only poses a serious risk, but frankly it sets, in our view, a very dangerous precedent. Now I use the word bulldoze, and I really use that literally because photos taken last August by another equally worried neighbour show the ground being raised, the bushes and trees that provided a buffer between Hackenden Lane and Aldersby Drive being raised to the ground. And that was without any formal permission from any of the three council authority levels, town, district or county. To our dismay, that remains the state today. Yet he and his family and his friends continue illegally driving across the mud and pavement onto our cul-de-sac. It's now a disgraceful mess and the police are unable or unwilling to stop it. The lane is a public footpath. It's used by all age groups, including children attending Blackwell Primary School, and a driveway crossing the lane adds a significant safety hazard. Finally, although there is no request for this explicitly in the current application, I would like to urge the council to respect a widely shared fear, namely that access could later be used by heavy vehicles for inappropriate development on the applicant's large tract of land. We ask that you recommend strongly against it.
Thank you. Finally, we'll move on to Highfield.
My name's Graham Bostock, everyone calls me Bill, I live in West Lane. So our house backs onto the development proposed for 85 bedroom care home. So I've done this in terms of reserved matters. I don't know if that's the correct thing to do, but it's an outline planning application. So I've already put in my complaints obviously onto the main website. So the main thing is, first thing is appearance. The original design was very like houses, and in our opinion would have been reasonable for the space, but they redesigned it now to be a huge U-shaped block, which is really tall and out of keeping with the environment. The access is a real problem no matter which way you go. You've basically got a choice of the current access, which is an extreme angle and very narrow road onto West Lane or West Hill, Dexter Drive, which is a narrow cul-de-sac, and then the proposed new entrance onto West Hill. And we're really concerned about that because we're with the new development going up to Turners Hill, we're already finding it really difficult for pedestrians to cross West Hill, and much more traffic. So anything that adds to that will be fine. This one is landscaping. We would like to see some kind of 3D layout so we can get sight lines and just get an idea of how this is going to impact the neighbours. All we know is what the height is, but there seems to be an issue. They're putting in border hedging, but we have no idea whether that will be effective for the neighbouring properties. The layout, it's a huge U-shaped block, as I said. It's an elevated position. It overlooks houses in Dexter Drive, overlooks houses in West Lane. The proposed vehicle entry route comes along the back of our property within 5 meters. Oh my gosh, okay. We believe the scale of the building is just too huge for a residential area, and we're worried about water, the rainwater runoff from that area because of the type of terrain it is. If I've run out of time, I'm very sorry, but I do hope that you'll take those things into consideration.
Thank you very much. It goes quickly, doesn't it? Sorry.
It does.
And I think one more personal speak on that one. No? Okay. That's all of them then, Councillor. Thank you all very much for coming in and speaking. We really do appreciate it. Item number 2 is apologies for absence, please.
We have apologies from the team there, Councillor Peter.
Thank you. Item number 3 is to receive the minutes of the meeting held on the 4th of January. I would like to propose those. Can I have a second, please?
I'll second those, please.
Are there any comments or discussions on those minutes at all? In that case, we'll move to a vote to adopt those minutes. Thank you. Item number 4 is to receive vendors' declaration of interest. Are there any new ones? Obviously, we have Rex, Councillor Whitaker, and we have not here, so they can have these on record. Are there any others? Item number 5 is chairman's announcements. I'd normally update you here, but I haven't got anything particular to add, and as we've got quite a big meeting, I'm going to skip past that one tonight. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so first, item 6 is protected tree applications. We normally take these on block to refer to the tree officer and then add any comments as necessary. So I propose that we do that. Can I have a second for that?
I'll second that.
I'll show of hands to any questions.
I was concerned about the horse chestnut, as I'm sure lots of people would be, because that's a conker tree. But apparently it was hit by lightning and is diseased and has active fungi, so it's got to be removed. So I'm quite happy with that.
Any others at all? Before we get into the main topic tonight, just a few little housekeeping rules. Members of the public who are here tonight can't interact with this part of the meeting, so can't ask any questions, things like that. You can just listen and observe. After the application that you come for today, you can sit and watch the rest of the meeting, or you can feel free to leave and sit there and watch everything else if you don't want to. Okay. So, first application tonight is DM 220718. This is the land to the rear of 61 Crawley Down Road in Belbridge, East Grinstead. This is development to provide a mix of 22, 3 and 4 bedroom dwellings with access obtained through adjoining site as approved under DM 21078 with associated landscaping and infrastructure. This is further ecology information received on the 15th of July, further drainage information, amended plans received on the 25th of July, and additional noise reports received on the 20th of December. This is why this has come back for those on the committee that have seen it before. So most of you probably sat on these plans last time we looked at them, but I will just refresh your memories. So let's see how well this works. It's very laggy because the internet is struggling. Thank you, Dan Clark. So this is the site here next to the already approved site here. This shows very poor, very laggy. Sorry, it shows the proposed layout of the site. Style of buildings. I'm going to skip through it quite quickly. Some members of the public, if you're haven't been to meetings before, but this committee have seen most of these plans already. So this is Imberhorn. So Councillor Whitaker, would you like to?
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Yes, thank you for reminding everybody that we consider this, I think it was on the 22nd of August. When there was quite a discussion and the position has in fact strengthened since then in terms of the nature of the objections, because the point I made at the August meeting was that this town council has now adopted their planning policy position statement in terms of highways, which was adopted on the 4th of October, which effectively requires the planning authority, the district council, to have a condition precedent to upgrade the junctions, or Grand Prix condition as often called, for the Star Junction in particular, but also the A22 corridor. That traffic situation that junction is existingly over capacity. That's been proven, and nothing has changed. In fact, everything's got worse, and obviously this would exacerbate that. So lots of stuff on the portal. There's 27 pages on the portal, 27 pages for a 20 house applications. is incredible. 66 representations from members of the public, which I checked this afternoon, and that's being added to. I would thank Mr. Dunn, who I've recently met since I did a site visit there on the 12th of January, very recently, with a particular reference to, I met Natalie James, who was the Mid Sussex District Council strategic drainage engineer. And I met her because of some flooding on Birch's industrial estate that happened in November, December. So Natalie was fantastic. We were on site for 2 hours. We walked through Birch's Wood and effectively we walked right the way down Felbridge Water. So if people can see this, and members can see this, Felbridge Water goes from the Crown Plaza here, and you've got all copies of these, goes all the way down here. The site in particular we're considering is this one. So Felbridge Water is the key drainage outlet for not just this site that is existing for the 61 houses, but the potentially extra 20. And in my site visit, I walked across the existing housing site where the playground is that Mr. Dunn referred to, and I was nearly up to my knees in mud, sinking in mud because of the existing water that was just ponding, frankly. The brook has got the Felbridge water is clearly blocked in lots of areas, hasn't been cleared by the existing developer, and the whole area, frankly. So what Natalie James has agreed is that she is undertaking a area-wide strategic flood risk assessment review, which I asked her to do, which has been agreed by Nick Rogers, the Chief Development Planning Officer at the District Council. I'm expecting that report by the end of January, and it will be circulated, and I'll circulate it to you for information, Chairman. But there are some serious issues in terms of flooding there. There are, as well as a strategic transport issue. I'm very unhappy. I think many of the existing houses that are there haven't been kept up to date with what's been going on by the developer. I think it's poor form. And there are no details of the Section 106 agreement in terms of financial contributions, nothing on the portal. I know the original consent was through an appeal, but I would have expected the details of those arrangements to be made in line with the District Council infrastructure delivery plan. And there's no evidence of that. So I'm not in a situation to recommend approval. I would stick with the Town Council decision from August, and I think that position has been strengthened, Chairman.
And as a fellow Bournemouth councillor, I'm happy to second that. So I think the crux of that is that we want to reiterate our comments from August. That we want to add further that we are serious concerns on the drainage, and that we can't even possibly consider approving this until we've seen such reports. I think this highlights, and you've done some incredible work, Councillor Whitaker, with Mid Sussex about the flood risk there. I think it shows that if you continue to build, as this map shows, all the way down next to that waterway, it has a serious ecological impact, and that is unsustainable. As a town council, we cannot continue to support the huge impact that it's having on the environment in that area, let alone the fact that it's going to cause flooding for those houses and businesses.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, the District Council officers have been very good, as I say. They reacted very quickly on this flood issue because the evidence is there in Birch's industrial estate, so they jumped on it. So I think we need to see the results of that. The road, I know that the intended road comes, excuse me, comes sweeping around here, right tight to the Felbridge water here, and comes past these 5 or 6 houses that are already built.
You can see it on this colour map here. You can see the road. Yeah. This is the edge of that. Velvet water runs through here.
So the road is almost very, very adjacent to Felbridge water.
And if that road floods, then how do people want to get into the house?
Yeah. So a number of reasons. Yes. And there is an issue with street lighting or lack of street lighting on the existing estate. There isn't any, unbelievably. They didn't put any bollards in, no street lights. It was all as per agreed by the planning condition. because of ecology reasons, but it's as black as hooky at night, and you get individual PIR lights coming on from houses. But it's we've got a crazy scenario. So, you know, I'm liaising with Mr. Dunn and others to try and rectify that as well. But the developer hasn't helped themselves in this particular instance, and you know, some developers are good, and they're very professional and respectful and responsible, and they listen, and others aren't. And unfortunately, this particular developer, in my opinion, isn't.
Any other comments different to that, Councillor Scott?
I would just like to endorse everything that Councillor Whitaker has said, and commend him on the work he's done on this. I know the floodplain is a big problem, but the road itself has also got its problems, and I've lived in this town all my life, and that junction has never got any better. In fact, it's gradually getting worse and worse and worse, and this is only going to add to it. And that junction is probably the worst junction in the town, and we cannot allow more traffic to come out onto that road. And that's, for me, that is a massive reason why I wouldn't support this.
Thank you.
Yeah, my understanding is that the 63 homes that Fontaine Road, the houses on Fontaine Road, went to appeal on the basis that the district didn't have its 5-year land supply. So that's been agreed now. Yeah, so I don't see any reason why this should be approved if the planning inspector used that as the reason to approve the 63 homes in the first place.
The technical point. Councillor Paul.
Yeah, I agree with all what I've said. I'm very concerned about the massive impact on this and the current situation with traffic. We have a huge problem with traffic in this town, and also impact on the health service, the GP surgeries, the schools. So I'm not really keen on this development.
Chairman, I disagree with the objections raised. I just wonder, because we've got quite a lot of public here, just whether it might be just worth explaining just the town council role in district, and should it go to district, the need to support it there as well. Just sometimes that gets a bit less.
Of course, thank you. It's a very good point. I don't know how many of you know the planning system intimately here, but so we are a tier 1 statutory consultee of Mid Sussex District Council, so we are not the final decision makers, but our view will be put forward as a consultee to Mid Sussex. So this will go before Mid Sussex Planning Committee as well. I imagine this will be discussed at committee, won't it, rather than just officer.
Yeah, I mean, because of the number of consultation responses from the public.
So you will need to go to Mid Sussex District Council and have your say again there as well. But we are a statutory consultee, so we have to take our views into it. Okay, in that case, can I have a show of hands when we have a recommended refusal on the grounds covered? So can show of hands to adopt that. So anyone that would like to leave who isn't interested in anything else, they are free to go. Go home for your dinner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you.
No worries, thank you very much.
Please don't stand in the hall chatting, because we will hear you.
And we are
Thank
recording.
you.
Okay, we'll move on to DN 22 3811. This is Pavilion 1A Pavilion Way, East Grinstead. This is a single-storey side extension with basement and separate garden room with storage. So this is, for those you might know, this is West Hill up here, Pavilion Way up to where the old cricket pitch used to be, and this is the property in question, and then to build onto the side. And this is the aerial plan here. Same aerial plan, and this is the proposed extension in here. It's hard to see, isn't it, Councillor Mockford? I can see you peering. So this shows the see it very slowly across. At the moment, the house is very modest with a lounge and kitchen diner. And the proposal is to go out to the side, a new lounge, and extend the kitchen diner here. very slow internet today. This is the. You can see the addition to the side. New garden building, these are the plans for the new garden building at the rear. This is Town Ward, so Councillor Scott.
Well, this extension is by no means a small one, but it's a very hidden bit of land by the way it's got the greenery in front of it like this. And I can't see it having an impact on the area because it's greenery. And I would support this actually.
Okay. Can I have a second for that proposal? Any other councillor comments on this particular? Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, if you could just go back to the photograph. Sorry. Yeah, that end house there, that is there.
Yeah.
That originally wasn't there until about 5 years ago, when it got given consent. So this is yet more. So yeah, effectively, if you imagine that hedge wasn't there, I think there'd be a fence behind it. But not that overgrown hedge, then there'll be nothing left of what was originally planned. And this is the main entrance to the estate. And it's very prominent as you both come up West Hill and down West Hill and then come into Dexter Drive. So I've got mixed views on it. I think it's just a bit from the elevations you showed. Not so supportive as Councillor Scott, but not my patch. But I do go past there a lot, usually twice a day.
I agree. I think it does show on these plans retaining a hedge, and I think if we, as a council, were minded to recommend approval, I want a condition that screening and that hedge was retained. To soften it and screen it. I think if you just had a brick wall right up to the edge of the site, it will look very imposing. And it is also, that wall is fairly high. The house will be very high from it. So as you walk around the footpath, you will have a very imposing house right on the edge there. So I do think that screening must be maintained, and not just a hedge, but not just a fence.
And that is a very important retaining wall, not just a wall. So it's a retaining wall. When that site was developed, that whole site was filled by about 1.5 meters, 2 meters of sand imported. The whole level of the site was raised in 1991. So it's an important wall.
Vice Chair.
Just point out that this particular property has had several applications in the past for double height extensions, which were refused. So I'm just balancing it off with the owners are actually, they are trying to put something together which is going to be, beneficial as a family for them, and also get it across the line, as it were.
I think you're right. I think it is a very finely balanced application. It could easily go either way. It is a very modest house as it currently stands. It is not a big house, and it has, Councillor said, it is an infill house, as it were. So I can see why the family would want to do this. And I can also see the negatives that it could bring and the positives it could bring. So I agree with Councillor Whitaker. It is a hard one to fall on which side. Any other councillors want to pass comment on this before we take it to a vote?
I would just like to reiterate the necessity to keep that screen.
Yes.
Definitely.
We've got that as. So with that, keeping the screen, we have a proposal to recommend approval. So can I have a show of hands to approve? Only the screen. And against? Interesting to monitor that one as it progresses through the system. Okay. we're going to move on to DM 22 3871 Cedar Lodge, Hackington Lane. Proposed timber 5-bar entrance gate, driveway, surface treatment, and planting. There are many objections to this one on the portal, and the plans require a little bit of thought. This is the picture of the road, and there is very fine plans that don't really show up very well on here, but let's see what we can do. So this is the current site and site entrance. So, here. And this is the proposed knocking through between Aldersley Drive and Hackington here onto the site, which see is quite a large site. This is Baldwin's, so who would like to start on this?
Yeah, I'll start.
Councillor Daly.
So, yeah, as you said, a very high number of objections, especially for being a lane, not a full application. So 4 pages worth, I think, plus. I think some of the points that have been made, I understand and agree with the concerns on the potential that this could be used as an access point in the future. And should this get through at any point, then I believe that there needs to be a very strong condition of that gate being imposed and not taken, and if there was any future planning on that one. However, so to sort of like lead into this, my proposal on this one is to reject this request. There's a couple of things that I sort of picked up from some of the notes. So West Sussex County Council response was based on a desktop study yet again, which I find really disappointing in a number of the cases that I've dealt with since I've been on planning, which is now nearly 4 years.
Yeah, not surprising.
Very unsurprising. I think, as one of the gentlemen made that if they'd have gone out to do a site visit, they would actually seen the state of what that has been made. And I've seen some of the photos where there's actually JCBs still parked in the area. So I think that's quite disappointing. So I mean, I've got loads of notes. I was just brain dump this when I was doing all this. So I don't really understand the requirement for access. Bear in mind that they are based off of Hackington. They have an access point off of Hackington anyway. So I don't understand why you would need 2 access points to your property. It's kind of an unnecessary requirement. So that's a reason not to. Some of the points that I put on there as well is, again, points that were made by the gentleman around points of safety, because it is a public right of way. Under DP 22 and within point J that they made in their conditions as a part of their desktop study was that the public right of way should be maintained if any work is to be happening. That clearly hasn't happened already. The public right of way has already been damaged. So I think before they can give conditions, they should be going out and doing a proper site survey, so they can make their conditions based off of the site survey rather than a desktop looking at a computer survey. So I think from a rejection point of view, I think we've got a fairly strong case in DP 22, rights of way and recreational use. It's, as the public have been saying, it's used for recreational use for people when they're going on walks around the area. It's also used as a right of way for children getting to school. So one of my points is on DP 22. Picking up from comments that were made today as well, I think it's not strictly as the way I would normally use DP 26, because that would be on the character of a building being built. But actually, you could take DP 26 as a point and say that it's actually impacted on the character of the existing cul-de-sac. So with DP 26 in mind, we could reject it on the basis of that it's changing the character of the neighbourhood. I also picked up, and I was going through it, and there's a lot to read on there, so I didn't see a response. But on the 4th of January, I saw that there was some comments from the case officer saying that the application needs to be reworded and then go back to a consultation on the basis that they haven't mentioned things like drop curb in their application. So I don't think that I don't think we could make a positive decision on that without having a proper, correct application through. And my concerns are that the work appears to have started already to clear the site. So that's kind of, this is almost in some ways looking at retrospectively trying to get things done. So as I said, my proposal on this is a fairly strong refusal. And then from a planning perspective, DP 22 and DP 26 is our points of review.
Thank you. Can I have a second for that, please? Thank you very much for your hard research on that. Any other comments?
I was just going to say exactly that. Thank you so much for all that hard work that you've done on that, Dean. Having lived in Charlwoods Road for many years, I've used that public right of way. My daughter has used that public right of way to go to school. I just, well, beyond belief, really. It's just, and that beautiful hedgerow. That's not going to be replaced easily, is it? So yeah, very disappointed.
Thank you. I echo the concerns of my councillors, and I think that several things concern me. One is the not unsubstantial change of character to the area. And I can't see what positives this brings. Even to the applicants, it seems kind of a slightly strange motive for it, which I can't really, well, they're not planning reason, but slightly concerning. So yeah, I'm
Look, could I just add something that just, it was in my head and then it's just popped down. It was while we were talking and looking at this actually made me think about it, is it also potentially links up into Blackwell, into the Blackwell area. And we know that there's a cumulative effect on a lot of developments that are going on there. And that would give you a rat run through ultimately that could be used and abused. Yes. And I think the worry is that you've got potential planning that's going to go around the Queen Victoria area, around those things, that there are recommendations to go in, and there's stuff on the district plan. And I think this gives a bit of a back door to say, oh, we can get access through there rather than flooding the whole Toe Road. So I think that, although that isn't relative directly to this, it does have a cumulative effect on us and this town as a whole.
And that I think you're completely right. That's what I was going to come on to say. And I think that that circles back to the change in the area, that you are doing something here that is potentially going to be abused.
Yeah.
Let's just say that we can put all the planning conditions you want in the world on it to say that gate's got to be there and maintained and locked at all times. Let's be honest, that's not going to be checked in full. It should just be left open and people are going to cut through that. You know, going back to what we were saying about 61 with various things that haven't been done, various commitments that haven't been fulfilled, I think keeping a gate open is slightly concerning. So I strongly support you. Any other comments at all? Councillor Whitaker.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, on the face of it, a simple application, but we both know that this is a wooden horse application.
Yes.
For further future applications by the applicant, almost certainly. Looking at the portal and the applicant, that's certain, we know that. I don't know the area terribly well, but technically from a highways point of view, it looks like there are some serious technical issues to overcome in terms of sort of access. Hackenden Lane, has it got existing vehicle access, or is it just pedestrian, or is it split? I think there are a lot of technical highways issues.
There's also the bridge that would have to go over, the railway bridge
we could pin on it to refuse it this evening, because a lot more work needs to be done for me to be able to prove it on highways issues.
And I think that comes down to the fact that highways haven't gone out and done a proper survey on it. They've just
and I'm always very concerned when the unacceptable face of development we see from the photograph there that's all been cleared, you know, well ahead of any applicant. That's discourteous, that's unprofessional, and I don't like that.
We've run on that. And I also echo again your statements that I think if any officers from West Sussex or councillors from West Sussex County Council are watching, we would, although as stated it is a simple access application, I think it deserves far more scrutiny than a desk survey. But then again, even for major developments, they can't come out and look, can they? So we shouldn't be really surprised that for a small one they haven't. So I would urge West Sussex County Council to please listen to our comments and come and have a very good look at, as Councillor said, some of the technicalities, shall we say, surrounding the complexity of this. Okay, I think we've probably said enough there. So we move to a vote to, we've got refuse on the table, we move a vote to support that. Thank you. And again, for those that came to listen to that one, you are free to go and get your dinners if you wish.
And I'll probably encourage you again to kind of your views for your Mid Sussex as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
The unlucky hungry ones are there.
Very hungry, Chairman, very hungry.
Okay,
Well done.
so we're going to pop back to town again for DN 23 0007. That's 007's cousin. Highfields, West Lane, West Hill, East Grinstead. This is outline application for redevelopment of existing dwelling house and erection of care home for up to 85 bedrooms with all matters reserved except for access. So please remember this is outline. So this is the site here that probably many of you have driven past hundreds of times and probably have no idea that it's there. This is West Lane's entrance here, which we obviously most of us know. And you can see here the access to this site where it pops out here. I popped this little plan here that shows the kind of shape of proposed development there. This is a little artist.
That's not correct.
Render of it. But this is all taken, this is all lifted from their application. So, and this is some pictures of the current site. So most of this application is focusing on access at this. This is a computer generated render of their proposed access onto West Hill here. This is the current access in, and this would be the proposed new access in onto West Hill here for those that are aware of the site. And here are some more little computer. I will give them something. They're very good with Photoshop. Here are some new sort of the new proposal in. I think if they have no cartridge. That's what they're proposing there. Okay. So this is Town Ward. So Councillor Scott, you have the honour of this.
I think the picture there of the access is actually proven to what I'm going to say. That's, to me, that's atrocious. It is not safe in any shape or form. So that access has got to be addressed if this ever does get passed. That access 100% is one of the main problems there. A care home for the elderly, very difficult to say no to a care home. We're all getting old, me especially. I may well be in this. We all know that we do need care homes. We have a few in the town. I don't think we've got enough, to be perfectly honest with you. It's a good location for one. It's very hidden. I find it very hard to say no to a care home. But I will look at all the problems that come with this application. That picture there on the top right-hand side is the most important one for me.
Councillor Scott, we are only discussing, this is outline, and we're only discussing the access of the application currently.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Well, I think the access has got to be addressed, and that is not, and I couldn't pass it on that access.
Okay, and I have a second for that, please. Thank you. Okay, who would like to start with a discussion on this? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. No, I think that what Councillor Scott said is quite right, and also the images that they've taken there are not at all real in terms of the cars that aren't parked on the other side. Pretty much 24/7. So getting in and out of that entrance is going to be really tricky, and we know that for a fact because of the West Hill entrance little bit down the road. Yeah, sorry, West Lane. So, you know, I think from a highway safety perspective, that's a big problem.
Councillor Bells.
Thank you, Chairman. My experience a little bit coloured by the fact in Ashurst Woods, we have Truscott Nursing Home, and that comes out on Hector's Lane, which is obviously on the A22, and we've had issues there regarding phone mast, and it's all come down to the visibility displays, to be honest, regardless of everybody's emotions as to sort of risk of accidents. At the end of the day, it's quite scientific as to whether the visibility displays are sufficient for the speed that the traffic is going at, and obviously I expect Highways Authority to scrutinise those visibility displays and for people to make their points and for the person to do a on-site, you know, inspection. And but at the end of the day, if those numbers are sufficient within the sort of safety parameters, then I think I would support the application. If they're not, then I wouldn't support it. So I suppose what I'm coming down on is that I agree with the need for care homes in the area, and my mind would be swayed by the scientific outcome of the Highways Authority surveys.
Thank you, Councillor Bells. Thank you, Chairman. Agree with all comments, really. Yeah, outline application is the principle of development, which I'm in agreement with. Totally agree with Councillor Scott, and I think it's not a bad location for it. There's huge demand in Mid Sussex, we know from our district plan and emerging district plan, but access is I don't think it can be achieved. I completely agree with Councillor Delsey. If it can be proven without any doubt whatsoever, not even reasonable doubt, it's got to be proven. I don't think the sight lines can be done. It's on a steep hill. You've got the car parking, you've got speed issues there, safety, overhanging trees, lack of light, you know, everything you don't want for an access. It's very close to another access at West Hill itself, and I have no confidence in our highways colleagues at West Sussex County Council, and I don't think many people on this table have. So, the very best, it should go to the district council should do an independent traffic assessment on it. Frankly,
My concern would be, as the last point that Councillor Whittaker was saying, that my worry would be that it would be done as a desktop study, and I'll leave it at that.
Can I just make sure to the residents, etc., that they're also I think it's Councillor Jackie Russell for that area as a West Sussex County Councillor, and just to make sure that she's aware of your concerns for the application, and that she will get the highways officers to make sure that they go out and do
Thank you, Commissioner. Some very robust discussions there. I think it's interesting as an application, because I think that broadly this council would be in support of more care home provision, and probably this site is a fairly good location and site for it, close to the town, to provide independence to residents, unlike some like Charters, where they are a long way from anything, they're very isolated. I have concerns going forward if the application is successful on the design of this, the height of it, and overall feel of this particular application. But unfortunately, this part of the application isn't for that. But I don't like what they proposed at this point. I don't think it's right. And I wonder whether, with a rejig of that design, they could come up with a better access solution. Just a second. Yes. I equally have little confidence, in what highways will do, and I would strongly urge highways to come and look at this site very carefully. That road is very fast, irrespective of what speed limits are meant to be on that road. It is a fast road. It is a busy road all the time. There are various accesses on and off of it from West Lane. And from houses that have drives, etc., coming out onto it in amongst the parked cars, and with the increased pressures of the new estate on Tennis Hill Road, and unfortunately more traffic up this road. So I think more needs to be done, and as this application stands, I can support it. Councillor Whittaker, you'd like to
thank you.
come
Yeah,
back?
just to give you some confidence and background from the district council point of view, I'm on the district council district planning committee, and we've had recently quite a few applications that but have both been approved for care homes and refused on design issues. But the ones that have been approved, one at Sayers Common recently, the design has been amended fairly substantially from the urban design officer's views. So you know, the need is there, the design's got to be right, totally agree. And I think the district planning do take that on board, and we'll try and ensure that's the case.
I think your comment of maybe getting the district council to do an independent,
Well, traffic's key, so access is
would be very good. I think it'd be useful, occasionally it'd be useful for us as a town council to be able to refer back to as the application continues.
Yeah.
So we have recommendation for refuse on the table under the grounds. Given, thanks for the discussion. Can I have a show of hands? Supported that? And against? Okay, thank you. We have one more application to discuss tonight. Again, those that come, if you wish to, you're going to stay. Of course it is, sir. Of course it is. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks.
The last one tonight is DM23 0026. This is full application. This is land at St James's Road, East Grimsted. This is erection of 3 two-bedroom terrace houses with associated amenity spaces. It is a busy night for Town Ward, isn't it? Bless him. Okay, so this is St James's Road here, which links out. If you're somewhat rumbling, that links out on almost opposite McDonald's for you, and a nice array of takeaways. This is the site here, which is a site again that I was driven past and not really paid any attention to in my career in the town. It is a small green spot of land there, which looks a bit like this. On that small lot of land, the developer would like to build the little terrace houses. And little bay windows at the front, little front doors, bifolds out to the back. This is how they would sit in the road. Okay. Yes, it's kind of snuck through this one on it, sorry. So this is Town Ward.
It is.
So, councillors?
These houses aren't really what I would class as huge dwellings. It's a street of houses. There are some office blocks in there, don't get me wrong, but it is a street of houses. And I would support this. I would support this. I really would.
Okay, can I have a second for that? Okay, I have read that. There is one objection on the portal, because that's on your notes. Somebody's concerned about loss of some trees, loss of light, and increased pressure on already limited parking. The main bits. Open up to the room on further comments.
I must, I'm going down that road now again. I would be concerned about the amount of properties that are down there now and the parking situation down there. So it is quite a congested road. But I understand there is a need for housing. So it's a bit of a, it's a difficult one. It just feels like we're crowbarring stuff in every little bit of greenery we've got in some roads in the town at the moment, which is a shame to lose little bits of green. But I do understand it's a requirement.
Any other comments? It's an interesting one, and when I looked at this, I was unsure of my feelings. I again, I can hear the loss of a small green patch of land in the very centre of town. It's not a green patch of land that I'm very aware of. I'm not sure how easily accessed and used it is by the people that are around. It is a row of small Victorian terraces, quite pretty. and the office space is now mainly becoming residential. So the area is going far more residential than it ever was. And I actually quite like the design of these. They look like little Victorian.
The only thing
terraces.
the only thing's bothering me, and it's probably my OCD, is that you've got like the bay window to the left on each of them, apart from the last one, and then they've turned it around the other way, and it's making me twitch a little bit. It's awful. I know I shouldn't respond to
I can,
that.
I can see that.
It's really done me. Maybe that's
Maybe it
what
breaks it
I
up a little bit, brings the halls adjoining, which is always, I'm always a fan. Victoria did this a lot. They would join the halls together rather than the rather than living space, so that you can make less noise transferal between the properties. So maybe they've done 2 halls adjoining and one that's on
Tough
the
luck.
end. Yeah.
That's the one you don't want to buy.
But they have got the hall next to the living space, so there is some sound insulation. That's probably why they've done that, to limit sound transference between the properties. Although again, my OCD twitches, I can see why they've done it. So I think these are quite attractive. They could have done it far uglier in this space, and it is in keeping with the street scene.
Yeah.
There are gardens behind them, which is nice for in town. So all that green space will be enjoyed by more people. I'd like to put something in there that says they can't put fake plastic grass in it.
Yes,
Real
please.
grass. So we would urge real grass to be kept and the trees to be kept as much as possible. And if they do remove any of the trees to build on the site, but in the back gardens, they plant some new ones, maybe for everyone to remove. Quite like that. It is town centre, so the need for parking isn't in there for planning as much. We should be promoting people being able to walk. They can walk to the station. They can walk to most amenities from there, and maybe it'd be nice to see some cycle store provision for the houses.
Yeah.
So where they can put their bike. There is even better. There we go. That shows. I missed that. So I'm support. Any other comments?
Chris, I agree with the comments. It's sad to lose any green space, but I would rather lose that green space than a field or something like that, which is genuine green space. And we do need all those views. I can imagine them being quite attractive for someone that commutes to town centre machines. So I'd be supportive.
I think green space can have many features as well. It can be either something you look at as you drive past. It's got really great walls in front of it at the moment, or it can be green space that is actually enjoyed by people. And this provides some gardens that can be enjoyed.
Sure.
Absolutely. And it could have been a block of flats.
It could have been a block of flats.
It could have been,
It is, I think, a very sympathetic development.
It is.
In that case, can I have a show of hands to support? Thank you very much. In that case, I would like to close the meeting at 7:58, just into the 8 o'clock for you, Councillor Whitaker. And remind you, the next meeting is on Monday, the 13th of February. So after the meeting, you can all run off to get your Valentine card.